You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I always like to take a little bit of time and just tell you how much I appreciate those of you that listen to this program. You know, it's been a decade of me doing this. I'm not bored with it yet. I'm not sure I ever will be. But it's just nice to come on this program and help you guys understand what's going on in this real estate market. I know it's crazy. I know there's these ups and downs and, frankly, a lot of misinformation out there. But that's one of my joys in life is helping people navigate this process in a no frills kind of way. You know, I am not, and you've probably been able to tell this for those of you that have listened to this show for maybe a few weeks or months or years. I'm a straight shooter. I like telling it like it is. I am not a smoke and mirrors type of guy. I kind of despise foot in the door techniques. I just want to work with people that value hard work ethic, results, integrity, and people that are passionate about what they do. So if we can earn your business, we'd love the opportunity to work with you. We don't work with everybody, but we'd appreciate the opportunity. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or go to our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. So let's talk about this last kind of phase in buying a house. We started with what we called the aspirational phase, which is we don't really know what we want to buy or when we want to buy it or where it's going to be located. We just know we want to do something. All right. And when we get to it, we get to it. Then the research phase is like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we need to figure out where we're going to go, how much we can afford, what's important to us in the community, in the neighborhood, in the house, so on and so forth. Now we are in the transactional phase, which is, hey, we know what we want, and as soon as something hits the market, we're going after it, right? This is where a lot of agents end up becoming involved. And if you think about, so like you could talk about funnel-based marketing, right? There's a lot of industries out there where funnel-based marketing makes sense and might make sense to you listening to this program. I prefer to think of it as a dartboard, right? A lot of agents just want to aim for the bullseye. The bullseye is the person that's ready, willing, and able to buy a house. And then the further away from the bullseye you get, the further away that buyer is from transacting. And so for a lot of agents, of course, it makes sense to only try and throw bullseyes. I like increasing the size of the dartboard. I like helping people in all stages of this process, hence this show. And of course, that gets mirrored when they work with our team. But by the time we reach the transactional phase, we want to have several things in order. We want that buyer to understand our role as their agent, what we do for them, how much effort and time we're putting into not only identifying opportunities for them, but representing their best interests. You know, just because something hits the market doesn't mean it might be a good option for you, because guess what? Sellers can ask whatever they want to ask for their homes. And there's still a good amount of overpriced inventory out there, which is why there's some stuff that's just sitting on the market. Hasn't gone anywhere. 9 times out of 10, it's just overpriced. Price fixes a lot of things. So we want to make sure that we have an understanding of what the home is worth and how much time and energy we should be putting into something. You know, if something's worth $500,000 and it lists for $650,000, then, you know, how realistic is that seller? Now, you as a seller might be thinking to yourself, well, shoot, that was the strategy we took. You know, we overpriced it and we just hoped that somebody would make us an offer. Well, as a buyer, you know, you already don't take that seller that seriously. And if it's going to be worth your time to, you know, get excited about making an offer, signing the documents, getting the lender to write a pre-approval to accompany the offer, doing this, that, and the other, like putting in the work to actually make an offer, you want it to be worth your time. And so you're going to ask for a pretty decent amount off of that asking price. In reality, it really shouldn't have anything to do with their asking price. It should be everything to do with how much that property is worth. Now, how much it's worth to you, how much it's worth to the seller, and what you can prove through data, comparable sales, might be three different numbers. But we need to have a really good understanding of what properties are worth. You only get that. You only get opinions of value from agents when you become a client, when you hire them as your buyer agent. That's important to know. I think another big part of this process is understanding how agents are going to provide you with opportunities. Because as we were talking earlier in this program, one of the biggest frustrations that we experience when we're talking to buyers is they'll see something online, they'll really like it, they'll reach out to an agent, probably the listing agent, for more information or to schedule a showing. But by the time somebody calls them back, or by the time they can actually go and see the property, there's already an offer, or an offer's already been accepted. You know, there's this lag time between the time they even see the property online and then the time they can get an agent to call them back, and then the time they can go and see it after working out schedules. Sometimes that's several days, and they're fighting with one hand tied behind their back. What you should be doing is working with a real estate agent that, you know, and we're talking about two different categories of properties here, right? Properties that are publicly available that everybody has access to and everybody can see. And then all these other opportunities that your agent is going to find proactively that are not on the market, that could be purchased if you can make a deal work. But for the ones that are on the market for everybody to see, it's a race, right? It's speed to the lead, like we call it in the industry. So that means that you should be getting those emails being sent to you by your agent through the MLS, because in case you didn't know, the MLS is where everything starts. So what you're seeing on Zillow and realtor.com and Redfin and so on and so forth, it comes from MLSs. So once that property is put into the MLS, then it syndicates to all these websites. Some are more reactive than others. Zillow, as an example, is going to try and control every facet of that process. So it used to be you could just call the listing agent. Now you've got to call into Zillow, and they're going to assign you some random agent that, frankly, doesn't know anything about that property. And it's tough as a consumer to get on the phone with the person that actually can answer all of your questions. I get it. Well, it would be a lot easier if you just had a real estate agent that was highly experienced, that knows that area well, that sells those types of properties often, that can be a true resource for you without you having to subject yourself to a conversation with the agent that has already committed themselves to the seller. I hope that makes sense. So in addition to, you know, you receiving property alerts for things that hit the market that are on the MLS, you should be getting those emails, and the agent that you're working with should be getting those emails, so that, you know, that agent can pick up the phone and say, hey, did you see that new listing this morning that we got an email on? Let's go and take a look at it. I think that's going to be, you know, maybe the one for you guys. Not to be pushy, but to be like, hey, we understand how important it is to get to properties quickly, and to, you know, once we see it and we like it, we want to make an offer. We've already done the work to just go straight into writing an offer rather than having to go and get pre-approved and wait on lenders. You know, one more bottleneck to the process. That's how that should be done. I think just as importantly, if not more importantly, the agent that you are working with should have the ability and the time, the resources, to go out and find you opportunities that are not publicly available. You know, what kind of database is this agent working with? How often do they communicate with sellers that might be interested in selling a home like the one you want to buy? How do they connect those dots? How do they facilitate those conversations? Are they playing the role of, like, you know, connector, or are we just relying on what hits the MLS? Is it truly a, set it and forget it mentality to helping you buy a house, or are they going the extra mile, and how, and can they prove it? Get them to show you how this works. Agents are really good at talking. Really good at talking. Hold them accountable. So that's a huge piece of advice, by the way, is when you're talking to an agent, when you're interviewing an agent, I would really hope that, look, it's okay to trust somebody and for someone to be innocent until proven guilty. But just get the awkwardness out of the way now during the interview process and have them show you what they're talking about. Have them prove it rather than just talk about it. Hope that makes sense. All right, we're going to take one more break, come back for a few more minutes for the last segment of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. But remember, if you want to reach out to me, you want to have a conversation about real estate, anything that I can do to help you, I'm here for you. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.